Welcome back. It's been about 3 days now since I first turned this clock face, and I haven't been completely idle. While in the last 3 days, what I've done, I've glued 2 small blocks into the back. Now what these blocks will do is stop the clock mechanism from turning when somebody is trying to change the battery, for example. The other thing I've done, I've put my name, the timber and the clock number. Now this is something I do. This clock is clock number 29 that I've made, and it's just a way of keeping track. Later on I'll take a still photograph of the clock and I will put it into my records. The other thing I've done, this clock face has now had 2 coats of polyurethane. First coat went on, I then gave it a very light sand, and at that point you'll see there's like a white powder appear on the face. Don't worry about it, leave the powder there, put the second coat on, it goes back into solution and you get a very good, even, high gloss finish. And then lastly, of course, I've added a hanger, a hanger. In this case I've just used 2 screws and a bit of picture frame wire. Now you can of course get quite fancy hangers to go on these clocks. I don't like to use them. I think just a simple piece of wire, it is after all a handmade item. I like it to have a little bit of a folksy feel to it. So the next thing to do is to start to assemble the clock. And of course what you're going to need is the clock mechanism, clock hands and numerals. You'll also need some nuts and bolts and different pieces that go with it all. So I'll just pour these out. Now it's a good idea to put a little rubber washer on the back of the clock mechanism, or where it's going to go through. And all I'm going to do at this point is to fit the mechanism in. I've decided that 12 o'clock is going to be up here, so I've put the mechanism in. I'll put on a little brass washer and a nut. Now make sure it doesn't have to be too tight, but firm, because after all you don't want it moving around too much. Okay, having done that, it's time to fit the hands. Now I've just decided to fit this style of hand onto the clock mechanism, so I'm going to put that there. I'm going to take the minute hand, fit it there. On goes the little nut. This is a little bit fiddly, but there we go. Now, of course, one of the things you've got to do is align everything up for 12 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock. Now, I've decided that this is going to have black hands with this lighter coloured timber. And obviously I want the hands to be free to move. I'm going to also use black Roman numerals for the numbers. Now be careful, they're Roman numerals, so of course make sure you've got 12 and not 8. Okay. What I find useful to do this job, old piece of scrap timber, Stanley knife, pair of diagonal cutters, super glue. So I'm going to take the number 12 and I'm going to use my diagonal cutters. Take it away. Stanley knife just to give it a little trim up. Now these things do come with sticky on the back of them, but it's really not quite good enough for our purposes. So super glue, just a dot, doesn't have to be too much, don't need to have it swimming in super glue. Once you've got that done, very carefully of course, put it over, line it up where you want it to be and glue it down. Leave it rest for a minute or two, it'll be fine. The next number, obviously, just move the hands one, or the minute hand, one complete revolution, and then you can put the number 1 on, 2, 3, 4, all the way around. That way the numbers will be in the correct place for the clock. I'm going to leave you now and I'll come back for the very last final operation shortly. See you soon.